Welcome. This presentation is presented by the Office of Special Education and Early Learning in the Kentucky Department of Education. This module covers the legal and educational basis for special transportation. The videos in this series may be used as a training tool to support school districts when planning and implementing transportation for students with disabilities. The video series is intended to be used in conjunction with the Guidance for Special Transportation in Kentucky document, linked here, that covers a variety of topics relating to transporting students with disabilities, including those covered in the Special Transportation 101 training videos. The relevant laws that provide for special transportation are the Individuals with Disabilities Act, or IDEA, of 2004, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, which is often referred to as 504 plans, the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, also known as FERPA, and finally the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as ADA. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, states that every eligible child who has a disability and requires special education services will have a written plan called an Individual Education Program, or IEP. The Kentucky Administrative Regulations, or KARs, and the Code of Federal Regulations, also known as CFRs, govern special education programs. An IEP, mentioned on the previous slide, must include several things. That includes a statement of the specially designed instruction, or SDI, and the related services, and supplementary aids and services, also known as SAS, that the student will receive in order to receive a free appropriate public education, or FAPE. Now, special transportation is considered a related service that a student with a disability may be entitled to receive under the IDEA. Next, let's talk about Section 504 or 504 plans. To be eligible under a Section 504, a student has to be determined to have a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. They also have to have a record of such the impairment, or they can be regarded as having such an impairment. So with Section 504 plans, there should be a plan of reasonable accommodation or accommodations, but that plan is not necessarily required to be in writing. Some districts have specific 504 plan documents. Other districts use an IEP template for their 504 plans, or districts have some other form of documenting this. Section 504 or 504 plans are overseen by the Office for Civil Rights, and the Office for Civil Rights has additional information on their website regarding development and implementation of 504 plans. Now, special transportation is still considered a related service that a student with a disability may be entitled to receive under Section 504 in addition to IDEA. As mentioned previously, the Office for Civil Rights, or OCR, oversees Section 504 plans, and they'll investigate allegations involving lack of training of bus drivers or aides, which includes specifically targeted training that might be necessary to address a student's distinctive medical needs during transport. An example of this is in a court case where the OCR found that a New York school district violated Section 504 when it failed to train a bus driver on a student's diabetes plan. Earlier, we mentioned the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, or FERPA. FERPA governs the protection, maintenance, and destruction of personally identifiable information, also known as PII, contained within the student education records. Now, the Kentucky Administrative Regulations require that all staff in the district collecting or using personal identifiable information contained in student records, including transportation personnel, receive training or instruction on specific FERPA requirements. This means it's important that districts provide appropriate training to transportation personnel who might encounter confidential information in the student's IEPs, 504 plans, behavior plans, or other educational records, including medical needs. Staff need to understand that the obligations and responsibilities under FERPA to protect this information and should include specific practices in their written policies and procedures so that transportation staff routinely maintain and store the confidential information in an appropriately safeguarded manner. As part of the student's IEP, the ARC must consider if the student requires related services such as special transportation. Transportation is included as a related service under the IDEA regulations and under the state regulations. Related service is defined as transportation and such developmental, corrective, or supportive services as are required to assist a child with a disability to benefit from special education. Per this definition, a local district must provide special transportation when the student's Admissions and Release Committee, or ARC, determines that it's necessary to address the individual needs of the student and to provide a free, appropriate public education. Now, special transportation can include several different types of transportation. It could include transportation to and from school and between schools. So if there's a large campus, this special transportation may be needed for specific students to get from one school building to another. Also, travel in and around the school buildings. So, for instance, going to after school activities or during school activities if they have to go to certain fields on the campus. Another example would be community based instruction, whether that's going out into the community or around the school. Special transportation also includes field trips. There's more information about field trips in Chapter 6B of the Guide for Transportation document provided at the beginning of this video. Also, specialized equipment such as special or adapted buses, those buses with lifts and or ramps, and also participation in school and district offered activities outside of those school hours, again, such as clubs and sports or school dances. There is more information on special education, IEPs, and special transportation, as well as contact information for the Guidance and Support Branch available on the Admissions and Release Committee, or ARC, and IEP page of the KDE website. Thank you again for what you do to keep our students safe.